I want to share a story with you all that you'll probably never hear about on mainstream media and might not see almost anywhere else because of the sensitive subject matter and because it points a very bright spotlight on the trans insanity we've been forced to tolerate for several years now. And I'm not talking about men and women's sports, which is an outrage. Tonight, I'm talking about the Trump administration launching an investigation into so-called trans women being housed in women's prisons in California and Maine after allegations of widespread rape and harassment, with one female inmate impregnated by one of the self-identifying females who's obviously a male. The investigation, which focuses on the California Institution for Women in San Bernardino County, the Central California Women's Facility in Madera County, and the Maine Correctional Center in Windham, points out the absolutely dangerous and nonsensical practice of allowing men to declare themselves women, tolerating their fantasies or mental illness, and allowing them access to places where they absolutely don't belong. In this case, prisons filled with actual women. We have a mugshot of one of the alleged inmate rapists, a man named Tremaine Carroll, who claims to identify as a woman and got himself incarcerated in a women's prison and then allegedly raped 3 of his fellow convicts, all real females, and one of them got pregnant. Carroll was housed in the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla because of a law passed in 2021, during the Biden administration, of course, allowing transgender, non-binary, and intersex inmates to be housed according to their gender identity. The bill was originally called the Transgender Respect, Agency, and Dignity Act, giving convicted criminals a huge loophole to choose to do their time with men or women based on their claims of how they identify their own sex. Remember, we're talking about convicted criminals, often the worst of the worst, killers, rapists, pedophiles, usually very well-practiced liars, biological men being allowed to do their time with women instead of their own sex based on their word, even though their word in most cases means little. Carroll, for example, is a convicted violent felon who spent more than 22 years in a men's prison before taking advantage of the new law to get transferred to that women's correctional facility. And all he had to do was claim he was a woman, even though he had intact male genitals. Now, I know this is sensitive material, and I apologize if talking about it offends anyone. But if we don't talk about it, if we ignore it, and we allow it to continue, well, you know what happens. So that's why the Trump administration is strong enough and smart enough to say the obvious. This is not only dumb and dangerous, it's also likely unconstitutional, because inmates have rights too, and placing males in female-only facilities subjects those real women to cruel and unusual punishment under the 8th Amendment of our Constitution, with dangers including sexual assaults, attempted rapes, voyeurism, and pervasive climates of sexual intimidation. Carroll is accused of raping his cellmate after he was moved to Chowchilla before raping 2 other real women within reach in a 24-hour period, which made things really awkward for the ACLU, which was defending his right to stay behind bars with the ladies. He was finally moved back to a men's facility, but it didn't stop a California court from holding a surreal hearing last December to decide whether the court would compel prosecutors and witnesses in Carroll's rape trial to refer to him with she, her pronouns, even though he's a biological male with male genitalia who allegedly sexually assaulted 3 women and got one of them pregnant. She, her? Are you kidding me? Well, guess what? The judge in the case, Catherine Rigby, said relying on a suspect's gender identity is a matter of, quote, respect, courtesy, and dignity. And so, in Carroll's trial involving forcible rape, which only a man can commit, the judge ordered the prosecution to refer to him with female pronouns. That decision could still be overturned, but the bigger issue here is one of common sense and righting the wrongs of the Biden administration, which thought it would be really great to let violent male felons bunk with women in a women's lockup just because the men said they'd be more comfortable there. Attorney General Pam Bondi said keeping men out of women's prisons is not only common sense, it's a matter of safety and constitutional rights. We'll file this one under "You can't make this stuff up" and keep you posted on how it turns out.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.